Welcome back to the starters. James Harden and the Rockets aren't ready to stop playing ball. Harden's first career postseason triple-double was a little too much for Chris Paul and Blake Griffin as the Rockets force a Game 6. We'll get to that later this week. Rockets, they want to play, Tess.
Yeah, Reggie Miller on the call in this one, put up his keys to the game. They were simple, people mocking it on Twitter, but listen, these guys lost the last 2 games by an average of 29 points. There's no simple X and O for them to make up and for them to win and work on. No, they had to be very, very simple. Bring the fight for an entire game. Be that up-tempo team, and that's what they were. They won the fast breaks. They won the points in the paint. That's all they needed, and after the game, head coach Kevin McHale had the same thought we've all had this entire series.
Tonight was the first time I saw a team out there downhill, attacking, going at them. You know, kind of waiting for that game, for that team to show up for a while, and but that's how we have to play, and we have to get points in the paint. We have to be downhill. We have to be getting to the line. We have to be offensive rebounding. That's the strengths of our team.
We have all been waiting for that team.
Absolutely.
They showed up in Game 5.
Yeah.
When there's no pressure, and I think that's a big part of it. This team is just not mentally focused enough. No pressure. No one expects them to win this series anymore. Down 3-1.
Yep.
Now down 3-2. And I think that's why we saw their best game.
They were helped out a little bit, too, with DeAndre Jordan picking up some fouls in terms of being aggressive and attacking, because DeAndre picked up some quick ones early, had to go to the bench, came back there even early in the second with 2, and picked up another one early. He didn't play a whole lot of minutes in the first half, and the Rockets took advantage of that.
If there was one specific key to the game, it's getting DeAndre
Yeah.
in trouble, because you show the thinness of the Clips if you get him on the bench.
And to add to that, Dwight Howard picked up a foul in, I think, the first 24 seconds, but that was the only one he picked up in the first quarter. He played smarter because Dwight Howard sometimes has a tendency, even when he picks up that first foul, to still throw his hands in, get an easy, cheap foul after that. He didn't do that, so he was more focused as well.
Here's Doc Rivers on DeAndre Jordan getting into foul trouble. Quote, the reason DeAndre was in foul trouble was because they were in the paint all game, and a lot of that wasn't his fault. He was just trying to cover up for a lot of our mistakes. So to me, we did a poor job of protecting DeAndre. He protects us all the time. We didn't protect him at all. We have to be better. I think that's an interesting point there. You saw the fouls, a couple of them were just because either James Harden, especially in that second one, just blew by his guy on the perimeter, and there's DeAndre trying to challenge the shot and picks up that quick second one.
And you would have thought this would kind of be the Rockets' strategy the entire scenario, or the entire series. Like Tass said, that's their one big guy, DeAndre Jordan is. If you get him out, you're dealing with Spencer Hawes and Big Baby, and that's kind of a win if you're the Rockets. But finally, James Harden was attacking, and I think that that's a huge change in this game, and a big reason why that the Clippers were able to drop a game on the road.
Yeah, you just wonder, though, like when Kevin McHale said he's talking about the effort, some of the questions have to go to Kevin McHale and say, well, why was your team really not trying for those first 4 games? I mean, they just didn't put in, you mentioned, Tass, they got killed on the road.
Yeah.
It's okay to lose 1 game on the road badly, but to lose 2 back-to-back like that, that's
around 30-point losses.
Yeah, and now they've got to go to keep their season alive, they have to go and somehow overcome that and win again, and then come back to Houston and perhaps win 7th. It's very unlikely to happen, but at least the Rockets finally put up some sort of fight.
It was. I mean, again, you're right. People on Twitter saying, look at Reggie's keys there. Play hard, play tough, play smart, whatever. But it's true. They had to do that, and they did, and the results warranted it. But there was one little X and O move that Kevin McHale made, and that was putting Josh Smith into the starting lineup. Do you think that had really any impact on this game, or was it sort of back to just playing harder and attacking?
I mean, the Rockets smacked around the Clips, and with such a monstrous win, I don't think a Josh Smith X and O sort of type move really factored in to the W whatsoever.
It's more that they were just sort of desperate, I think. He just had to try something,
totally.
So he threw him out there. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks with that for Game 6. I think he will, because I think I think Josh Smith defends Blake better than Terrence Jones does. But then again, Terrence Jones is probably a better shooter than Josh Smith, so he probably gives a little bit back on offense.
Yeah, and in this game, we should point out, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, they had good games, great games. 52, I think, of the 103 points that the Clippers ended up putting up. And we saw, James Harden had the triple-double. Dwight Howard was a beast early and had a great line. It came down to those role players. We just showed you the Rockets guys chipping in, be it Ariza, Jason Terry. They were hitting threes. Capella played well. On the other side, it was the Clippers guys, those secondary guys. DeAndre got in foul trouble, so forget him, but Redick couldn't shoot the ball. Crawford couldn't shoot the ball. I mean, you wonder a little bit with the Clips, were they expecting the Rockets to just sort of roll over and die and go golfing?
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can beat the Clippers. You can either try and totally take away Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, which good luck, or you can let them get their points and defend the other guys, and I think that's exactly what happened. I think the Clippers, like you're saying, were just a little not caring too much about Game 5, knowing they got Game 6 back at home, but it was a poor performance by their role players, and if that happens again in Game 6, then the Rockets can steal another one, and who knows what happens in a Game 7.
Especially with DeAndre on the bench. We've seen, throughout the Spurs series, the big three really perform, and then these guys are a small sort of difference in the game. But when you get DeAndre off the floor, I mean, that is the key for the Houston Rockets.
Tuesday was the third time in the Clippers franchise history that they had a series clinching opportunity to advance to the conference finals, and it's the third time that they got blown out big. They've never made it to the conference finals, and we're talking even back when they were in Buffalo. So, I mean, there it is. They've lost by 21 there last night in a possibility game where they could go to the conference finals. Back to the Suns, you might remember in 06, lost by 20, and again, in 75, they lost to the Bullets by 19. And this is a team, again, especially with Chris Paul being a little hobbled, they want to take care of business and get into that next round and rest a little bit.
Oh, yeah, they don't want to have to win in Houston to advance.
Oh, no, yeah. So Game 6, you think they've circled that. We got to take care of business right there.
Thursday night.